So now let's get into one of my favorite subjects, the Hall of Fame. You need approximately 500 plate appearances to qualify for batting average, the batting average title. And in general, the top 5 players in plate appearances comes out to about 700. So that sounds a whole lot like 5/7 to me. So we define a full season as having 5/7 of plate appearances as the top 5 players did in your league. So if a player did not have a full season, let's say he needed 500. If he only had 250, his ATP of, let's say, 4.0 would only count as 2.0. Then we rank the player's best ATP to their worst ATP for Hall of Fame calculations, and we do something else. So in this example, the players ranked from best season to worst season, and let's say they had 25 seasons. And these are the plate appearances that they had, 500, 600, 250. But here's what they needed, and they're all 500 for this example. I'm just making this up. So you can see here, we're going to multiply the third season by only 50% because this player only had 250 of the required 500. And we got the 500 because the top 5 in plate appearances averaged 700s, and we take 5/7 of that. And here's their actual ATP without any adjustments. You had 6, you had 5.5, you had 7.0. But we're going to multiply that third one by 0.5, right? So that's why it's the third best ATP that this player has ever had. And we just move those numbers over, 6, 5.5, and 3.5. So now your life is about to change, because here's what we do that I think is pretty cool. Let's say we look at all the players that have ever played, and of the players that played at least one season, 100% of them played at least one season. That's what this 1 is for, this blue number 1 there. Let's say that 75% of those guys played 2 seasons, and 60% played 3 seasons. 50% played 4 seasons, all the way down. And let's say that number adds up to, at the bottom there, 5.0. Then we take that, let's look at his best season, not his first season, but his best season was 6.0. And we're going to multiply that by something. By what? You guessed it, that 1.0, because everybody is going to play at least one season, and that comes out to be 6 so far. But then, because that total adds up to 5, we divide that total number by 5. And we do that for each season. So the second season is multiplied by 0.75 because there's only a 75% chance that a player will play 2 seasons. There's a 60% chance that he'll play 3 seasons. And these are the numbers we get. So the first season is really worth 1.2, and then whatever you have there. And at the end, we get a total ATP of 4.5679, whatever it happens to be. And that's his career ATP. But when I was growing up, I remember people saying, Willie Mays better retire or his lifetime average is going to go below 300. I remember thinking, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, if the guy's better than the guy in AAA, why would he retire when he was 28, 27? Those numbers don't change. But that's what happens when you look at averages. They come down when you get older because you're getting older. This way, it combines the shooting star guy with longevity, and you end up with a final answer that I think is fair to both sides. It's fair to the shooting star guy because if he's really good for those seasons, it's going to be hard to pass him, but it's also fair to the guy that played longer because his average isn't going to go down because he keeps playing. So let's just jump right on into ATP. Time, please. You can see here that Duke Snider is going to be in blue, Mickey Mantle in black, and Willie Mays in orange. And this guy right here, that tells you what's coming up next. So the first thing we're going to look at is RBIs from home runs. So just move this, and you can see here that Mickey Mantle leads the way, and Mays and Snider pretty much tied. And here's the digital readout. So Mantle leads with 58. The green one here is the highest, and then the red will be lowest or tied for lowest. So Mantle gets 58 points from his home runs. That includes him scoring and the odds of somebody else being on base. Anyway, so the next one here, we're going to look at triples. So RBIs from triples. And you see again, we see Mays actually starts to catch. He got 6. Snyder's trailing with 3, and Mantle's in the middle with 4. Here's the total points. So for Snyder, it's 51 plus 3, and that's 54. And so far, Mantle's hit 62 to 58 to 54. So the next thing we're going to look at is doubles, RBIs from doubles. And we see that Snyder has the most. He has 17. And here's the readout here. Next, we're going to look at his singles. Mantle still has a slim lead down here in the graph. So in singles, the leader is Willie Mays. Here, oh, by the way, over here is their actual batting average. So throughout the time that we're looking at, Snyder batted 303, Mantle batted 316, and Willie Mays batted 311. And the H5, which is home runs per 590 at bats, Snyder's 35, Mantle 36, 38 for Mays. And here's the normal season batting average. And these are the normal season home runs. And look at Mays. Mays goes from leading 38, 36 to 35 to being tied with Snyder, and Mantle takes the lead. Here you have Mickey Mantle taking the lead. He gets 9 points from walks. And so far, Mantle's got the lead 118 to 113 to 108, and that's shown graphically down here. Next thing we're going to look at is row, or reached on error. And you might be thinking, well, why do you want to give points for reached on error? Well, if it's all the same, if it doesn't matter, then it's just a wash. But it is my opinion that some players force the defender to make a bad throw to try and get him out. And when they make the bad throw, they get on base with an error. But if they didn't rush, then the guy would have got a hit. But anyway, so you see what happens here. And Mantle still has a slim lead. The next thing we're going to look at is points, because the player did not strike out and theoretically moved the player into scoring position who later scored. And that is Mays is leading that with 27 to 25 to 22. And right now, Mays has just tied it up 142 to 142 with Mantle. The next thing we're going to look at is minus points for bouncing into a double play. Who might that be? It's tied up. And it is, Mantle is the best there. He's only a -2, and then Snyder and Mays are -6. Points from sacrifice flies. Mays and Snyder are tied with that. And Mantle still has a 2-point lead over Mays. Points for sacrifice hits. Probably not too many sacrifice hits from these guys. Yeah, 1 for Snyder. That's surprising. Now, remember we talked about run triples. So this is the runs and RBIs above average that we add on or subtract for, or not give them as much credit, for the triples they got. That is Mays. And these are all from the normal season, not because he's in the Polo Grounds. It's all normalized for adjustments for the Polo Grounds and wherever they play. So now Mays pulls it within 1, and Mantle still has a 1-point lead. The next thing we're going to look at is running doubles. And that is led by Snyder, trying to pull up, and Mantle still has the 1-point lead. Next thing is running singles. And that's led by Mantle, so he expands his lead by 3 over Mays. Next is running walks. So remember over here, Mantle had all those walks, so he's probably going to have a lot more for runs he got because of walks that he eventually scored on. And Mantle, yeah, 28. Mantle has a commanding lead by 12 points. OOB is outs on base. So it's going to be a negative number, and they're both the same. That might be, I'm not sure if they even kept that stat back then, so it might just be an average. Then negative points for errors they made. They all played center field. So Snyder leads the pack. The next will be outfield assists. And that if we were looking at infielders, it would be double plays. But we're not looking at outfielders, so it's going to be assists. And that is led by Mays to 3. And Snyder, not showing much of an arm for whatever reason. And he's a -1. So, but Mantle still has a comfortable lead of 10 points, and that's shown graphically. Next is range. Outfield range, putouts per inning. And I'm guessing it's Mays or Mantle. It is Mays. Yes, Mays with, Mantle, -4. Wow, that's kind of surprising. I know he stepped in that sprinkler hole when he was young. but he was still pretty quick. Now this next one is pass balls per game. Well, they're not catchers, so that's not going to be an issue. So we are all done. And here are their final points. And here's their final ATP. So Mantle was the better player while they were in New York. Who was better for a career? Oh, that's for a later broadcast. And then Mays is second, and then Duke Snider third. So if we look over here, you will see that this is the average age they were. So they're still really young. Snider was average age was 26, 22, 24 for Mays. Appropriate. And this is the batting average factor here of the stadium that they played in for which way they batted. So you can see that Mays and 100 is average. This is the home run factor. So Mays, and this is why Mays lost a lot of points, because for a right-handed batter in Polo Grounds, it's 39% higher chance of hitting a home run. So Mays is H5, home runs per 590 at-bats. By the way, the 590 at-bats comes from, that's the amount of at-bats Roger Maris had when he broke, in 1961, when he broke Babe Ruth's home run record. So I used that. If I had to do it all over again, I'd use 600, but you know, it is what it is. All right, so anyway, doubles, you can see that it was easier to get a double in Ebbets Field for Snider. Triples, Yankee Stadium, that's no surprise. And the run factor, and this is runs per game for the league. So, Mickey, Willie, and the Duke is the final order. And that is how we do ATP. Pitchers are similar, and we might get to that in a later show. This is kind of cool to look at. This is the years that they were in New York. You can see that Snider was in New York 4 years before Mays showed up. So here's batted left-handed, batted both, right-handed batter. This here is batting average. He actually batted 274. Snider batted 274 in 1957. He would have hit 46 home runs per 590 at-bats, and his on-base percentage was approximately 360. In the normal season, he would have hit 251 and 41 home runs per 590 at-bats, and his ATP was 4.65, 447. He was 30 years old. Now, the last two digits here will always be single digits. So that at means he was second team All-Star. The 6 means he was the 6th best defensive player at his position. And so the first number might be 1 digit or it might be 2. He was the 13th best player overall. So when Mantle was, say, 25, he was the 2nd best player in the league. The star means he was first team All-Star, and the 6th means he was the 6th best defensive center fielder in the league. So you'll see down here Mays. Mays was the first best player when he was 24 years old in 1955. He was our MVP, and of course he's first team All-Star with that. That's what the star designates. And the P means he was platinum glove. For Snider, his MVP ranking, he averaged 7.1 over that time span, and 1.8 All-Star team, and averaged 4.8 or 5 defensive ranking. And the same for Mantle and Mays. So let me know what you think. Do you like that this summary here? You can freeze it and look at it later. Well, I hope you have enjoyed the Ghostball channel. This was just to set everything up so that we can just jump right in the next time. With that, take care, and we'll see you next time.